Okay, folks, here's a quick review of the new 52 Superman figure that was produced by Mattel as part of the DC Comics Unlimited line of products. I got this at Walmart for $15.99. This is my first ever review of a DC figure by Mattel. Now, admittedly, I really haven't kept up with DC Comics in several years, so I'm a little unfamiliar as to what the current storylines are. I saw some of these figures recently in Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, and I have to admit I was mildly intrigued by the costume changes, so I thought I'd buy a few of them and see what they were like. When I first got Superman out of his packaging, I was moderately impressed. I've heard that some fans don't like the changes that have been done to Superman's costume, but I disagree with that, and I think the new costume looks fine. I like the deeper blue coloration on the costume, and the belt around his waist reminds me a bit of the design that was used in Superman Returns. Except this one is colored red instead of gold. And there's no S symbol on the belt buckle. Paint apps were a bit disappointing on this figure. The area around the collar of his costume was sloppily painted with severe bleeding from the blue areas of the costume collar. The bottom of his right foot was chipped, but thankfully, that won't be noticed when I display him. The S symbol on his cape, that had a paint app error on it too, but I hope I can fix it. And thankfully, there were no paint app errors in the facial area or on the S symbol of Superman's chest. The articulation joints on this figure were a very mixed bag. The neck, wrists, shoulders, elbows, knees, and right ankle, they all moved without incident. However, the mid-abdominal crunch, the waist, and the left ankle joints, they were frozen solid, and they absolutely refused to move. I was able to correct the problems with those joints using a hairdryer, but they are still quite stiff and very hard to move. Superman's cape is made of a soft plastic, and it does not appear to be removable. Now, I've noticed that Superman does seem to stand fairly well without the aid of a figure stand, but I have to admit, I do think it would have been a nice touch if Mattel had included one in the package. So let me pause here, zoom in, and I'll give you a closer look as to what Superman looks like. Okay. Now, I wasn't surprised to see that there were no accessories included with Superman. So what I'll do now is a quick 360 of him for you and let you see what he looks like from all sides. So here he is from the front. Here he is from the left. Here he is from the rear. Okay, here he is from the right-hand side. Finally, here we are once again from the front. So overall, I think this figure, it's not too bad. Now, I like the look of the updated costume. And I think this version of Superman displays pretty well, but the paint app errors that I ran into, they were a bit too much for me to ignore. I was also disappointed with some of the joints being so stiff, and I still wish that Mattel had included a figure stand. But in spite of these problems, I think the Superman deserves a fair to good recommendation. More good than fair. I think that it is a pretty good addition to a DC Comics or Superman collection, in spite of the problems that I ran into with this figure. Okay, so on that note, take care and stay tuned for my next review. Have a good one.